The most expensive countries in South America, and why Argentina changed everything. When you think of South America, you probably imagine cheap prices, warm beaches, and adventure on a budget. But that picture is changing fast. A quiet economic shift is happening across the continent. Some countries that once offered incredible value for travelers are suddenly becoming expensive. And one of the main reasons has a name you've probably heard: Javier Milei, the new president of Argentina, a man who turned his country's economy upside down. Let's break it down. For decades, South America has been a paradise for travelers from the United States and Europe. The exchange rates were generous. A few dollars could buy you a steak dinner, a beachfront apartment, or a week of adventure. But since 2024, several countries have seen inflation slow, currencies strengthen, and tourism costs rise. The result: the era of ultra-cheap South America is fading, at least in some places. So, let's explore the 5 most expensive countries in South America right now, and understand why their prices are climbing, and whether they're still worth visiting. 1. Argentina. The comeback of the peso. For years, Argentina was one of the cheapest destinations on earth for Americans. Inflation was out of control, the peso was collapsing, and locals preferred US dollars. Tourists lived like kings. $100 in Buenos Aires could buy a luxury dinner, a tango show, and a night in a 4-star hotel. But everything changed with the arrival of President Javier Milei, a libertarian economist who promised to destroy inflation and dollarize the economy. He cut spending, removed subsidies, and took a hard line on government intervention. The shock was immediate. Prices in dollars started to rise. The Argentine peso, after years of free fall, began to stabilize. And with that stabilization came a surprising twist: Argentina suddenly became more expensive. Buenos Aires, once a paradise for cheap tourism, now rivals Mexico City in cost. Hotel rates doubled. Restaurants adjusted to new taxes and market prices. Local wages rose, and the famous blue dollar rate, the parallel exchange that made things so cheap, began to shrink. Still, Argentina remains magical. The steaks, the tango, the glaciers of Patagonia, the vineyards of Mendoza, all worth every cent. It's no longer the bargain of the century, but it's finally an economy that's starting to breathe again. 2. Chile. Stability has a price. Chile has long been one of South America's most stable economies, and that stability comes at a cost. The Chilean peso has remained relatively strong, inflation is under control, and Santiago is as expensive as some cities in southern Europe. A cup of coffee can cost $5, a simple lunch $15, and hotel rooms easily go above $120 a night. But in exchange, you get order, safety, and some of the best infrastructure in Latin America. Chile is where the Andes meet the Pacific, where deserts like Atacama feel like Mars, and where you can ski and surf on the same day. It's not cheap, but it's spectacular, a premium experience for travelers who want quality and calm. 3. Uruguay, the Switzerland of South America. Tiny, peaceful, and progressive, Uruguay has quietly become one of the most expensive countries on the continent. The Uruguayan peso is strong, wages are high, and the cost of living rivals that of Portugal or Spain. In Montevideo, rent prices are climbing. In Punta del Este, South America's answer to Miami, a single night in high season can reach $300 or more. Even basic meals can surprise visitors used to Argentina's bargains. But what you pay for in Uruguay is tranquility. It's clean, safe, and deeply democratic. You can drink wine at sunset without worrying about crime or chaos. The Wi-Fi works. The water is drinkable. And the people are proud of their quiet prosperity. 4. Brazil. The giant wakes up. Brazil is not the cheapest country in South America, but it's the most dynamic. The real is weak compared to the dollar, which makes travel affordable for Americans, but internally, prices have risen. In Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro, locals feel the pinch. Rent, food, and services are expensive in reals. But for foreign visitors, it's still a dream. Every dollar stretches about 6 times further. However, Brazil is a dual economy. In resort cities like Florianopolis or Búzios, luxury is expensive. In smaller towns and northern beaches, your dollar buys paradise. So while Brazil belongs to this list in terms of inflation and urban costs, it remains one of the most balanced and rewarding destinations for foreigners, expensive in parts, priceless in others. 5. Colombia, the price of popularity. Colombia has transformed from a country once avoided by travelers into one of the most visited destinations in Latin America. But popularity comes with a price tag. In Bogotá, Medellín, and Cartagena, hotel and Airbnb rates have skyrocketed due to global demand. The Colombian peso weakened, then recovered, and today, costs for foreigners are catching up to the rest of the region. A night in Cartagena's walled city can cost over $200. Fancy coffee shops and digital nomad hubs are everywhere. It's still cheaper than Miami, but the gap is closing fast. Even so, Colombia's diversity, Caribbean beaches, Andean villages, Amazon jungles, keeps it a favorite for travelers seeking warmth, culture, and adventure. Final thoughts: the new South America. So, is South America losing its charm for budget travelers? Not really, it's evolving. The continent is still cheaper than Europe or North America, but its strongest economies, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, and even parts of Brazil, are beginning to reflect a new reality: stability costs money. For travelers, that's not bad news. It means safer destinations, better services, and stronger currencies. You'll spend a bit more, but you'll also experience more comfort, more authenticity, and fewer financial shocks. In the end, the beauty of South America was never just in its prices. It's in its contrasts, its people, and its landscapes that make you feel alive. And if Argentina's recent economic shakeup teaches us anything, it's this: sometimes, a country has to get more expensive to get better.